We're sat on the bridge over the Avon Mathach River. This is the course of the ecliptic, and behind me is Cader Idris. Climb up there. I recommend everyone does that once in their lives, to Lini Cader, which is the lake in the bowl or in the chair of the mountain, and that is the sort of like the dipper of the plough, you know, the bucket part of the Big Dipper, and that's where the Linde Lake sits. And if you're up there on the plough and look down into the valley, on the other side you'll see the little plough with Polaris at the pole star. And we're now going to the church at Llaniltyd. Probably said that wrong as well.
No, I think that's good.
And
it's within I noticed, isn't it? It's Llaneltyd, I noticed.
Llaneltyd, yeah. It's one of the churches dedicated to the same saint who's in South Wales. It might be slightly pronounced differently or written differently. But inside this church is an ancient stone called the Math Stone, and it's got a foot carved on it, and this is the foot of Math, and Math is the ancient Welsh deity who maintains the axis of the earth turning in its correct form by keeping his feet on the lap of a virgin, and this is represented by the stone with his foot on the stone. And that if you read the Mabinogi, you'll see that there are a few instances where his feet are not on the stone, and they represent times when there were disturbances in the heavens and the pole had some disturbances. So we're going to go now up to the church, try and have a look at the Math Stone, and this is in the constellation of the Little Plough.
So Hugh takes a chance to restock his water from the blessed Avon Mathach, the only river water allowed to be used by the Druids for their ceremonies. And this is the link over towards the church, which curiously has been built on a sort of potential flooding area. They could have built it closer to the river, lots of better places, and it became obvious to Hugh that the church was built so it pointed down the valley on the feast day of St. Illtyd, the 6th of November, and you can see the sun setting perfectly between the two mountain flanks. Yeah, so here we are at Llaniltyd Church. You can see it's incredibly old, it's wonderful gravestones, the alignments, and as you'll see, the yew trees are exceptionally ancient, which gives us a real insight into having a much older origins. And the ground pressure builds up water to get these old water fountains with their dedications.
That's one of the oldest yew trees I've ever seen, and you can compare the age of that yew tree to these younger ones.
This one could be 1,000 years. So look at that bad boy over there.
That's got to be pre-Christian, that.
Well, that's always a joke, isn't it? People say, why do they plant yew trees next to churches, where really it should be why are churches next to yew trees.
See the Math Stone.
Sadly, like everything else last summer, the church is closed, but Hugh has sent me a photograph. It's beautiful, and we'll also notice on there is some writing, which although the plaque says is Latin, Hugh is pretty confident that it's Colburn, the ancient British writing system, which you can learn a lot more about on this channel, especially over the next couple of weeks with the work of John Griffiths. So stay around for that. Remember to subscribe with notifications.
There's some interesting sun motifs in a lot of these graves, aren't there?
That's the dawning of the sun, and all these gravestones are faced towards the sunrise on one of the solstices. Christian churches tend to be aligned east-west, but on the star map areas they align to the solstices, as are all the gravestones. And even when a church was rebuilt in relatively modern times, they were rebuilt to revere the original orientation of the church.
Well, so these aren't facing east?
Check them.
Let's have a look.
I've got my compass here.
Okay, so you got the compass out. Yeah, this glorious, you've got to see, yeah, east.
East is that way.
East is actually diagonally across. If I go on behind a gravestone, or the church, you can see the layout of the church. East is where I'm pointing.
Yeah.
You can see on the compass.
So that is...
Actually, it's even worse. It's east is actually there. Yeah. It's nowhere near east.
So that is approximately sunrise on the summer solstice. And that's what the direction that the church is facing, and all the gravestones for hundreds of years. The gravestones may predate the church.
As you can see, because we've got the backs of the gravestones here, they're not facing the path, no. They're not facing the church, and they're not facing east.
Look at how
this ancient Christian church with its yew trees, which predated.
Look how big that yew tree is around the circumference. It's split into like 6 or 7.
Yeah, they're all huge, aren't they? And all these people, amazingly, aren't facing east.
And even today, when people are brought into the graveyard, they still face the ancient direction, which is the sunrise on the solstice.
Wow. Think that's just in Gwynedd this is happening?
I'm not sure, but I think there is a collective unconsciousness where people have revered the customs from the past, and they feel a great sense of spirituality to be part of that when they move on.
Yeah, or at the very least they don't want to mess with it. Wow.
I believe that the people who were buried here, they knew it during their lifetimes, and they wanted to carry it on into the afterlife. And this has been something that's been known since that yew tree was planted. Jeez. Thousands of years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, an incredibly ancient tree, 4,000 or 5,000 years probably. Then look at the gravestones. They don't seem hardly Christian at all. They've all got sun on them. These are worshipping the sunrise on the alignment. And also while we're here, look at the way the names are presented. They don't have the block capitals for the surnames. They don't have this legal fiction in place. This one does, Thomas, there, capitals, but the surnames don't. A little pause and have a look through them. You can see there the name's done, Roberts there, look, in lowercase. So that's fascinating as well. It's got very ancient origins here. There's hardly a Christian feel or look about any of it. And then another curious thing which you see on some of these gravestones is the branch, which through the duality of the language, you'll see that Hugh has tracked this down to refer to the lineage, the ancient pure lineage, and this could go right the way back to the migrations. So this ties in what we're doing with Luke. You've got the Colburn tying in. Yeah, there's the branches there. That's the kind of the vineyard or something. All this is all coming together. Very exciting times.
You might think that the gravestones would face a central path, but yes. Still, even when they're right close to this wall, they're still facing the rising star.
Yes. Yeah, I was noticing that as well. They're not facing. You'd only face the path, wouldn't you? Or you face east or something.
In a very modern one, yeah, like a crematorium. There's no particular alignment.
No, designed for viewing, aren't they, and visiting. All these names facing the solstice. That's a bit bizarre, really. You see, in the modern part, it's all Christian symbols again. Then, mind you, a lot don't have its symbols at all. Most of them don't have symbols at all up here. There are the crosses at that part. There's all the crosses.
Yeah, so thank you to Hugh for another fascinating location. And as you can see, us driving up the valley here onto more sites. And the book is available from the Cymroglyphics website. And if you'd like to support the work, we don't get any subsidies or anything, please consider a couple of pounds a month, become a member or a Patreon supporter. Till next time, Heddwch.